The film starts with a guy named Christian. This Christian who is shown at the beginning is the main character of this story. And he happens to be a very talented geologist working here. Then this is Aiden. She is Christian's wife. And that too, a reception officer of a hotel in this area. After a while, these two were having dinner together with their 2 children, talking about a new apartment they are going to move into tomorrow. Apparently, they are going to leave this side and move to a new place. Later that day, before moving to the new place, Christian goes to the geological center where he works to have a little party with his friends from the job. After the party is over, he begins to clear his things where he was, but at this time, all of a sudden, Christian starts to hear an alarm sound. When I went to see what was going on, the underground water suddenly disappeared in 2 places where there are 2 sensors high up on a mountain. But according to the boy who is looking at the monitor here, nothing else has happened in the mountain. So the boss Arvid here tells Christian, there is nothing wrong here, everything is fine, you don't worry about this, go home and get ready for the trip. Then Christian leaves here and comes home and starts getting ready for the trip. There is nothing special to prepare, all they have to do is to prepare the things. However, Christian is still worried about how the underground water was lost at one point, because according to Christian, it is not a small thing. Anyway, Christian is now settled in Gerangerfjord, a world-famous tourist area in Norway. This is a very scenic tourist area. But there is a big risk in living here. Because here there is a mountain range that is prone to landslides or collapses. If even a small part of a mountain collapses from a broken place, great destruction will happen here. Because those collapsing rocks fall directly into the sea that flows through the mountain ranges like a river. So, if the rock collapses into the sea in that way, it is hard to imagine that a big tsunami will come to this area within a short period of time. How dangerous is that tsunami? When the waves hit the Gerangerfjord, the height of the waves is about 80 meters. A geological center has been built here to find out before this happens. Then the people who are here, including Christian, are watching over these mountains. It means that the head of this, Arvid, told Christian that this is a small thing, but this is really not a small thing. Because you know that the height of the tsunami wave is 80 meters is not a small thing. Anyway, only Christian and the 2 children will leave here today and go to the new house. Because Aiden has to work here for another 2 or 3 days, so Christian goes to the ferry with the 2 children, and while waiting for the ship to take the vehicles, he accidentally sees some water falling from the edge of the nearby rock. Apparently Christian knew something as soon as he saw it, so he turns the car around and goes to the geological center and leaves the 2 children in the car and goes to talk to the people at the workplace. According to Christian, the problem is not in the sensors, but in the cables attached to the sensors. Because according to Christian's knowledge, it is impossible for the water to disappear all at once in this way. Also, when the water makes a new front and goes down the front of the detail, there is a grunt. So, according to Christian's knowledge, nothing could be detected without the sensors working, which means that there is definitely a vibration inside the mountain and the 2 cables are gone. As Christian said, they are really broken. After checking the cables and coming back to the geological center, Christian shouts here about the seriousness of this. But here the boss Arvid and others think that this is nothing serious. Arvid also says that with the responsibility he has, he cannot sound the alarm whenever he wants and scare people. So Christian has no choice but to leave here in frustration. When Christian came back to the car, the 2 children had gone somewhere. Therefore, Christian thinks that the children will not go directly to the mother and goes to the hotel where Aiden works. The 2 children have come to the hotel as expected. Because all the ships that are supposed to leave here today have already left. That's why today they have to stay here. So after the group decided to stay in a room in this hotel today, the little girl Julia tells her that she wants to see the house where they lived for the last time. Christian loves children very much and asks his son Sondra if he is coming too. But Sondra decides to stay at the hotel. Similarly, while watching a film alone in front of the monitor at the George Geology Center, he sees that the parts of the mountain that were prone to landslides are coming closer again. That's why he wakes up Margot, who is directly watching the monitor, and reports to Arvid about what is happening. Then Arvid decides to go down into the cracks of the mountain with Jacob and see if the mountain's crack is really close as shown by the sensors. Meanwhile, Christy is still very worried. So he calls the geological center to find out how the situation is at this time. After learning that the cracks are close as shown by the sensors, Christian immediately finds some files that he had thrown away before leaving here, and starts looking for some records of what happened here before. If you look at it, the mountain has come close to this place twice before. And both of these times, a big landslide has happened not long after the fishers approached. As soon as Christy found out about this, she called the geological center once again and contacted Arvid and told him about what he found, while Arvid and Jacob decide to climb up. But when these two are trying to climb up, an earthquake suddenly occurs, and Jacob's leg gets stuck in a rock that fell from above. As this happens inside the mountain, the connection between Arvid and Jacob is lost at the geological center. At the same time, in an unimaginable way, the water level starts to drop in several places on the mountain, and it starts to show that a tsunami is about to occur. That means there is no time to waste here now. Therefore, Christian, who is still on the call, immediately tells them to sound the alarm before a tsunami occurs. After thinking about it for a while, Margot sounds the alarm and there is a big panic in the whole city. After a while, the part of the mountain that has split and separated starts to break and fall. At the same time, unfortunately, some rocks fall on Arvid, who stopped to save Jacob, and Arvid has to die. Similarly, Christian takes Julia and starts leaving here safely. Meanwhile, Aiden and Wabika, who works with him, wake up Jesla at the hotel, and after putting them on the bus, they find out that Sandra has disappeared from her room. As soon as he found out, Aiden immediately went back inside the hotel to look for Sandra. Anyway, a person named Maria who sees it and her husband named Bylop helps Aiden to find his son. While Christian is going to the mountain with Julia, at one point there is a big traffic jam and there is no way to go further by vehicle. But if you look closely, they have no time to waste before the tsunami. So Christian decides to go on foot with Julia and tells the people in the other vehicles to leave their cars and run up the mountain. Given how human Christian is, he can't leave that man here forever. So he hands Julia over to the husband of this woman next door and says, "I will save her and you run to the mountain with the children." Christian expected and he saves this woman. But looking back, the unimaginably high waves came close. That means they don't have time to run now and there is no way for these two to escape from the tsunami, so they decide to get into a vehicle with the two of them and lock it. Also, within seconds of getting into the vehicle, the tsunami waves came and covered everything, and Christian and this woman lost consciousness. Meanwhile, Maria, who came to help Aiden, finds Sandra skating in the shelter under the hotel with headphones on. The four Gammas who were found come out of the hotel to get on the bus, but just as the bus has left, the unimaginably high waves have arrived at the hotel. Anyway, as far as Aiden knows, there is a small shelter under this hotel that can be saved from the tsunami. So when Aiden says let's run straight to the shelter, Sandra and Byrip run to the shelter first. But when Aiden turned around and saw the height of the tsunami, Maria was stoned in front of the hotel. However, it was because of Maria that Aiden was able to find Sandra. Therefore, without leaving Maria here, Aiden drags her somehow and starts running to the shelter. Anyway, while running to the shelter with both of them, Aiden is able to get inside the safe room, while Maria is caught by a wave and starts to run away. Seeing that, the idol starts shouting "Maria, Maria" and starts crossing the door without closing it. But at this time, there is no way to save Maria. The only thing to do at this time is to close the door quickly. So Aiden and Sandra have to close this door by telling Philip. Because if that is not the case, it will be filled with water and these three people will have to die. After a while, fortunately, Christian's life is saved and he regains consciousness, but when he looks at that woman, he is dead. So since there is nothing to do about it, Christian starts to climb the mountain through the tsunami debris. Fortunately, Julia and others were able to climb up in time. However, after the neighbor boy saw that Christian came alone, he found out that his wife could not escape. But he has nothing else to do but make up his mind. Meanwhile, George and Margaret at the Earth Science Center receive a call from Jacob. As soon as the call came, they asked Jacob if he was okay and asked where Arvid was. With the shock that happened, Jacob is unable to answer it, but the two people at the Geological Center can imagine what happened with Jacob's silence. Similarly, Aiden, who is inside the hotel shelter, starts comforting the sad woman who is sad because of the death of her wife. In the meantime, Christian starts looking for the bus at the hotel where he works, hoping for Aiden, but he can't find it anywhere. Somehow, one of the guys here is calling with a place where other people are gathering, and he calls that too and asks if the hotel's bus has arrived there. But when I looked, no bus came there either. So here's the story with Christian, Aiden, and Sandra being scared. So he hands Julia over to the neighbor boy again and decides to go down alone and look for Aiden and Sandra. Meanwhile, Aiden and Sandra open the door to check the water condition of the shelter, but because this is a basement, there is no way that the water will come out. Also, there is no way to open the door because something has fallen and got stuck on the other side of the door. So, hoping that there is a window above, Idun removes a piece of the ceiling and looks out, but unfortunately there is only a small window that no one can enter. While the group is like this, unexpectedly, water starts leaking in from the top of the door. So Idun and Sandra together block the water road to stop the water as much as possible. But the Filipinos here are still crying stupidly and are not doing anything to escape from here. So if you look at this situation, there is no way for them to escape from here. And there is no way for anyone else to know that they are stuck here. Meanwhile, while Christian is walking to the hotel through the destroyed things and the still boiling water, he unexpectedly finds the hotel bus. As soon as he saw it, Christian was shocked, but somehow he was determined to get inside the bus and check every body inside it. But the dead bodies of Idun and Sandra are nowhere to be found in this bus. Christian doesn't know they're still alive, but it's a small relief for Christian to find out they're not dead on the bus. With that, he continues to go towards the hotel again. Similarly, at this time, the shelter is full of water and there is no place for the people to breathe. All three of them go to the window of the vent. But Philip is very upset here too and starts pushing Sandra under the water, saying that there is no way she can stay afloat. Apparently, this man is now trying to kill Sandra too. So when there is nothing to do, Idun has to trap Philip under the water to save his child. With that, Philip releases Sandra's hand and Sandra is able to save her life, but Philip has to die. In fact, if Philip stays here any longer, he will surely cause great destruction here. So, there is nothing else to do but to do what was done to Idun, who was patient until the last moment. Meanwhile, Christian somehow came to the hotel and started looking for them everywhere while shouting Idun and Sandra. The first thing he wants to see in the hotel is the basement. The shelter is inside the basement, which means it is full of water by now. That's why Christian decided to check the rooms of the hotel, thinking that there is no one in the basement. In this way, Christian found Sandra in one of the rooms, and when he opened it, he found a bag and it was actually Sandra's bag. And now Christian is in the room where Sandra was. Finally, with all this, Christian begins to think that Sandra and Idun are dead, and with great anger, he takes an iron rod and starts hitting a pipe in the vent nearby. Fortunately, Idun and Sandra hear this and realize that someone has come, knock on the pipes and start shouting. But because this sound is not enough to be heard above, Christian does not hear this sound. But when Idun, thinking in his brain, dives into the water and finds an iron key and starts making loud noises, Christian starts to hear this sound, so Christian starts hitting the pipe again as a reply, and Idun and Sandra's happiness is indescribable. But this time, unfortunately, water starts pouring in from the vent as well. However, after learning that there is someone inside from this incident, Christian swims to the basement, and while Isaraha begins to remove the things that are blocking the door of the shelter, Idun, who is inside, goes to open the door asking Sandra to stay here. Christian doesn't know that Idun and Sandra are inside the shelter, because he already thought something bad had happened. Also, Idun doesn't know that it is Christian who is coming to save them, but when they meet face to face, both of them feel an unimaginable happiness. But since there is not even a second to waste here, Christian directly tells Idun to swim towards the stairs. Meanwhile, Christian is going to save Sandra. After coming to Sandra, Christian takes the boy and tries to swim towards the stairs. But staying here will save lives. So Christian somehow encourages the boy and tells him to follow his father. But unfortunately, on the way, Sandra runs out of breath and starts drowning. But seeing this, Christian goes to the boy and tells him to give up his remaining breath and swim towards the stairs so that he can swim the rest away. So somehow, with that, Sandra is able to escape in the end, but even though Sandra swims away, Christian does not escape. Seeing that after Christian gave his last breath to Sandra, his breath was choked and the water started to flow. However, when Idun found out about this, he dived in again and pulled Christian out, but Christian had already run out of water. But without giving up the effort, Idun starts giving artificial respiration while pushing the chest. But even after doing this for a long time, Christian does not start breathing. So with that, Idun is very sad that Christian is gone and gives up the effort. But Sandra doesn't let go of this easily and starts to push her chest again while shouting for her father to get up. With increasing sadness, the boy starts thrusting very hard at this time. And then, with an unimaginable cough, Christian's water comes out and he starts breathing again. With that, the three of them are unimaginably happy. Meanwhile, Julia is shown waiting for the family members on the hill with great anxiety. While waiting like this, after hearing the sound of a helicopter coming here, the girl is very happy to go to see if it is her family members. But it is not his family members who get off the helicopter, so that happiness turns into great sadness. But unexpectedly, when the helicopter pulls up again, the family members are seen coming up the mountain under it. This is the best part of the film, because the moment you lose hope, a beautiful hope comes is the most beautiful place. Anyway, this is how the family members come together again. After that, the film ends with all the 4 family members happy while continuing to walk to the places where the doctors and other lifesavers are.